Hey, are you a business owner, entrepreneur, or professional? If so, we want you to apply to be a featured guest on our show. My name is Adam Torres, and I host the Mission Matters series of podcasts. I've recorded over 3,000 episodes, and we are just getting started. How do you know if you'd be a good guest to be on the show? Well, only one way to find out, and that's to apply, but I'm going to let you in on a little secret. We want guests that have a story to tell, guests with a brand, a product, or a service that can benefit my audience of listeners. If this sounds like you, go to missionmatters.com and click on Be Our Guest to apply. I'd love to talk to you and get to know more about your story. Again, head on over to missionmatters.com and click on Be Our Guest to apply. All right, now let's get into the show. Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Mission Matters. My name is Adam Torres, and if you'd like to apply to be a guest on the show, you can head on over to missionmatters.com and click on Be Our Guest to apply. All right, so today I have Mark Servodidio on the line, and he is CEO and co-founder over at Prossimo Global Partners. Mark, welcome to the show.
How are you? Nice to meet you. Nice to be here.
Oh man, Mark. So we have some stuff to talk about today. So you're launching RevV. I'm not going to spoiler that. I'm going to leave the audience hanging on that one. They're going to find out what RevV is in a moment. But before we get into RevV and to talk a little bit more about Prossimo Global Partners and what you're doing, I'd like to start off with the mission. So our mission here at Mission Matters is to amplify the stories for executives, entrepreneurs, and experts. So that's our mission. Mark, what mission matters to you?
Well, Adam, I think the thing that really matters to not only myself, but my partner, Phil Harkins, is how we look at developing talent, developing teams within companies for people to not only maximize their performance within a company and to deliver for the company, but to unlock their purpose as well. Because the balance between work, life, and the power of purpose in what you do every day, it leads to engaged employees. It leads to giving of that discretionary effort, but also delivering for your company and having a more fulfilled career as well.
Love bringing mission-based companies and entrepreneurs on the show and introducing them to my audience. And maybe just to get us started, let's go a little bit further into your background. Like how did you get started kind of on this path in business?
Sure. Way back when, early on in my career, I really was headed on an HR track with companies. I started off with PepsiCo and then Kraft, Nabisco, and then ultimately to Avis, and became the chief HR officer of Avis Budget Group. And so part of at least my journey was really always on solving human capital challenges within corporations to really bring out the best in employees while also delivering for the company. And my partner, Phil Harkins, founded a company called Linkage, which was all about performance development, executive development, and so all about human capital development and performance. And our careers came together about 2 years ago where we founded Prossimo Global Partners, really on three principles: talent, teamwork, and strategy. When you have the right strategy for your business and your organization, you get the right talent organized in the right positions, and then you also leverage them as a team to drive impact and results of the business. So a lot of my career, even when I took a stint as a general manager for Avis Budget, still always was focused on people, human capital development at all levels in an organization.
So, and we'll go further into Prossimo Global Partners, but I want to stick in your background a little bit. So, you have a unique vantage point, in my opinion. So you work for some of these large companies. And when you talk about human capital and like, what does that look like? Like, how does that thought process come about?
Well, if you think about the businesses I was associated with, they are big businesses in terms of not only numbers of headcount, but the people solutions and people capabilities in order to deliver for the business. So whether it's route salespeople at Nabisco or Pepsi or at Avis, where you have, it's really a lot of logistics in terms of fleet moving in and out, thousands of locations, and delivering that customer experience. So even though there's technology associated with all of those businesses, the human factor in terms of the solutions that they provide to the customers is really what differentiates you from your competitors.
Yeah, that's a big deal. And so like let's fast forward a little bit. You're going, and now you, as you mentioned, you started Prossimo Global Partners with your partner, Phil. I mean, how did you two meet? Like, how was that business partnership come about?
Well, Phil was running a very successful firm in linkage, and we engaged Phil and his team to help us out on a lot of our senior level executive development work that had to be done on the team. And that happened, that relationship began about 20 years ago. So Phil and I have actually been working together for over 20 years. And he was a big part of helping me develop in my existing career. And in the meantime, Avis worked a lot with his firm at the time to really do a lot of leadership development, executive development on how to be a better leader, how to really drive that engagement, and really look at it in a very balanced way in terms of not just driving business results, but making sure the people throughout your organization were taken care of and developed.
So now you have this concept, you have this idea, and then now you're going off into the land of the entrepreneurs, as I like to say. It's like like, how does that look like, that transition from corporate over to entrepreneurship for you?
Well, I have to say it has been really a fascinating journey. I always have wanted to be in business for myself and really take something that I was very passionate about and finding a way to really make a meaningful business out of it. And I think between Phil and I coming together at the right time, me stepping away from Avis Budget and him ultimately stepping away from linkage, and then joining forces to create this firm that for the most part really targets bigger companies, senior level executives, and advising on talent, teamwork, and strategy. And I have found it really rewarding, really fulfilling, because you're working alongside some very talented executives who are asking for your help. And at the end of an engagement, they personally have seen themselves move to a better place, but they've also seen the impact on their organization. And for me and my partner, it's just extremely rewarding when you walk away from the work that you do with a company.
No, that's a big deal. And so tell us a little bit more about the markets. So you said you're working with larger companies, you're working with executives. I mean, tell us a little bit more about that target market, if you will.
Well, for the Prossimo business, it really is where you have sometimes large distributed workforces. We're working in healthcare systems. We're working in consumer products companies. We're working in other types of retail companies. And so where there usually is human capital challenges, but also human capital opportunities to really drive that broader engagement and helping the leaders really get focused on how to get the most out of their team and to be personally successful as well. So I would say the average Prossimo client has probably about, on average, maybe 5,000 to 7,000 employees. So these are decent-sized companies that are well-recognized brands.
So what does an engagement look like? And I mean more so like, so let's say you're working with a new company, like take us through what that user journey can look like. And I know these are big companies, so it's going to be very different for each company, and they're going to have different needs and they're going to use you for different things. But just to give us a flavor for what a relationship with Prossimo Global Partners looks like.
Yeah, I would say it really falls into a few categories. One is it usually always starts with some aspect of talent. Either it's there is some development plan that needs to happen for the senior leadership for them to be ready to not only perform better in their current role, but also to potentially be ready to move into a succession role or CEO or other key senior leader. The second thing is it's really helping them work through their organization challenges so they can really drive the best results, create the most value for their business, and then ultimately make sure it's aligned with the strategy. So there's a lot of assessment work that starts on the front end. And then we have a lot of tools that we use for the assessment work. And then that leads into very, very specific coaching that's well documented, well planned out, and we measure the progress along the continuum of that time we're together to see the impact of that coaching. And then ultimately we do some kind of work with their team, whether it's broader team engagement, 360s. It could be team facilitated meetings where we look at assessing where the team needs to work on and really help that leader improve themselves from their existing leadership role as a leader of a big complex team, and then their personal individual capabilities as a leader getting ready for different or bigger assignments.
Fantastic. All right, Mark. So I got to know. So this new announcement, Rev, you're launching. I mean, first off, what is Rev and what's the goal?
Well, I have to say the thing that I'm really excited about with Rev is what both Phil and I have seen through our career is normally doing executive coaching for people at director level and above. Companies always have some budget for it. It always is on the priority list. And it's something that a lot of great companies commit themselves to doing because they see the value in it and they're willing to put that money behind it. What we've noticed throughout our career is what we're calling rising professionals. So those individuals that are a few years removed from the university and they're at the early stages in their career. And a lot of times, those individuals don't have access to those executive tools, the assessment, the individual coaching, the development plans. And so what really came together for us is how do we create something that we can introduce to not only companies to get after some of those employees that may not get that focused attention and investment, but then how do we think really big and open this up to the globe from a consumer standpoint? So it really is providing access to those executive coaching experiences and tools that we use with our clients. And how do we make it so accessible and affordable to a whole segment of society around the globe and to companies that might not have that level of capability to invest in executive level coaching?
Man, that's a big deal. So what you're doing is now especially for, for maybe smaller businesses or other things like that, like now they have access to some of the same processes and tools and development things that, these big, 5,000 plus, person or head count corporations have now. Am I hearing that correctly? That's a big deal.
Adam, that's exactly the point. That is it. And what we have found is the reason why a lot of people don't do this is because it's a lot harder. Yeah. You have to build something that can work across thousands of people. You have to build something that's very affordable so the individual or the company will say yes. And you have to make it very easy for people to understand, implement, and use. And so that's what we've spent the last year really developing and building. And we're really excited to bring that to not only to the business world, but to the broader community.
Yeah, that's a big deal when you think about human capital development and what that can mean for our communities. I mean, that's a really big deal. So what do you kind of envision this rollout looking like? So are you starting with different markets? Are you going to do a big push nationwide? Like what's your thought on the rollout? Because people need to hear about this, obviously.
Yeah. So we're really looking at it two ways. The first is in the business community. We've really started to talk to, even though they're not necessarily our target market, we've started to talk to our existing clients.
Yeah.
And where most of our existing clients have already said, when you're ready, sign me up. Because some of our clients are health systems. So they'll have hospitals, and you might have leaders that are in the supply chain, or warehouse leaders, or some roles like that don't normally get access to executive development. Yeah. So our existing client base is already very supportive. The second thing is we're actively beginning to reach out to small to mid-sized businesses, and where they might not have a fully developed HR solution. This becomes something that's very turnkey, that all they have to do is sign up in either a group subscription or individual subscriptions. And then you just tell us what you're looking for them to get. And we do the rest. We build the learning paths. We can help them get set up with the coaches. We do the assessments. We do the work-life journey sessions. So we take it all off companies' hands. So that's the business end of this.
Yeah.
And we're also now talking to associations. We've got a few associations that have 50,000+ members that want to offer this to their association members as part of their own professional development, as a benefit of being in a certain association. And then on the consumer side, we're really going to probably target our markets at where you have bigger populations. So New York, Chicago, LA, Atlanta, at least out of the gates. So we go there first. And we're looking at public relations. We're looking at our social media launch. We're really looking at doing some targeted marketing to reach out and to start to create some of that momentum in the marketplace. In addition, as part of the Rev launch, we're creating sub-communities. And the first one we're calling the Rev Leaders Network. And what that is we're assembling an advisory board that's inviting a lot of key members. We're going to have key content, key speakers, authors, subject matter experts that will focus specifically on leadership. And we're going to start creating a lot of these networks as a part of the Rev platform to get after very specific targeted areas. The next one we're working on is human resources, because based on my background and Phil's background, if you can get human resource professionals earlier on in their career and give them the value-added development to really contribute to building those success stories that I felt like I was able to build at my previous companies, and then also be Rev clients, we think it'll be a win-win for everybody.
Man, there's a lot of wins going around, and really you're tackling a lot of issues from a lot of different angles. I want you to maybe take me through kind of the user experience of what it looks like for, like, let's just say Mission Matters is signing up. We're like, okay, we love this. We want it. We want Rev. We have 11 employees. Like, what's next? Like, take me through that user experience.
Yeah, you bet. So the first thing we would do is you tell us, do you want to just put them into the broad Rev community and have them access our existing curated content library, our existing learning paths, and existing peer mentors and coaches?
Yeah.
Or do you want all of that plus have your own sub-community? So we can create for any company of any size their own community page that's private to them. And allow the employees in that community reach out to the broader Rev platform and leverage our existing learning content. If we have a guest speaker coming in on anxiety in the workplace, they can sign up for that. They can access that. So we really understand what the needs are of the company in terms of the development, what success looks like for them. For us, it's about engagement, it's retention, it's performance oriented, and it is giving that development experience. Because I will say, Adam, what we find, and the research is very, very clear. A lot, the millennials will make up 70% of the workforce in the next decade. Wow. And how the millennials really operate, community is important, development's important. Having peers be part of your development process is important. And so that's really what we're trying to get after with companies. So after a bit of a needs assessment, we'll get that together, and then we'll either put them right into the Rev platform, sign them up, or build their own little community page with specific learning paths, and then we can do customized team coaching, team workshops, or one-on-one coaching as needed.
Can you give me an example of maybe a learning path? Or let's get in the weeds a little bit on this, because I understand the platform, I understand how it works, and now, tell me about some of the content.
You bet. So I'll pick one that will be, one of the really, really important topics in society right now is diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Yeah.
And so we do have a learning path, a series of learning paths. But an example of one, and they reside in our learning management system, which is embedded into the Rev platform. And what we've done is we've curated content from the internet, from other sources, and we've built learning steps along the way. So, for example, we might give you an article on, being an ally at work, and what does that really mean? Really understanding some of the backgrounds of the key areas of what makes a great DE&I policy or strategy within your company. What are some role plays that you can do as a part of building that capability, so there really is awareness in your workplace to DE&I? And then at the end, we'll have a practice session or a practice outline that you can go through and either demonstrate that you've learned all of the components of what it takes to have a well-rounded diversity, equity, and inclusion strategy or approach at your company. And as you've completed all those steps, they're recorded in the learning management system, and we'll have a certificate that pops out at the end that says, this is what you've achieved. You can post it on social media. And we've created the content, Adam, in a way that it is very digestible. People think in short bursts. And so we've built it so you can grab a piece as you need it, or if you have a big block of time, you can go through all the pieces and it'll be there ready for you. So it's built to really suit a learner that's more a rising professional, and this is how they think and learn.
And so just to go a little bit further into that, so is this like micro learning formats, or are they like 2 to 3 minute videos, or some longer? Like, give us a little bit more of that.
Yes, I think micro learning content pieces is probably the best way to articulate that we piece them together and we do all the work for you in terms of piecing them together and keeping it organized, and so you can track your progress. And then we always like to end it with some form of practice that shows that you can demonstrate that. And we've got 30 to 35 that we've built that is available for the whole community. But part of our offering to companies when they sign up is they might say, you know what, I want this specific learning area for my company. And we'll allow companies, if they buy the subscription, we'll give them a few learning paths as part of the package. And if they want to buy more, we'll curate them, build them, organize them, put them in the LMS, and they're yours.
Oh, that's awesome. And so in different ways for people to learn. So it's self-driven learning also, right? So you said, like, if somebody can do it blocks of time, like large blocks or small blocks, and it really just comes down to the learner and how they best digest things, right?
Yes. And we do have the option of, we will have many what we call learning advisors. These are certified coaches that are on the platform that can either provide assistance in facilitation if you want to do team work. Or for me personally, I'm struggling with one area. I've got, a difficult team situation. I need some help on how to navigate through some hard performance conversations. Can I just speak to a performance coach and really help me get prepped for that session? And then people can either access our existing coaches and potentially purchase more time with specific coaches if they need that. So we can do that either on team or individual format for the company based on what kind of subscription they would like.
What kind of feedback have you received on this so far? It could be like in beta, it could be internally, it could be externally, like whoever's testing this, like what kind of feedback have you gotten so far?
Well, I have to confess, whenever you're introducing something that's fairly new, and you mentioned something at the front end, which I think is important, is we are trying to tackle a bunch of different challenges.
Yeah.
Executive development more accessible, to make it very affordable. So anybody, 2 cups of Starbucks a month for your professional development. So
it's amazing, by the way. Let's not glance over that. It's amazing.
We want to remove those barriers and be disruptive from that perspective. And then when you think about access to peer mentors, access to professional coaches, access to the learning, I haven't had anybody, 0 potential clients I've talked to that says, I'm not interested. All of them have said, when you are ready, call me and let's talk about how it could work for my company. Because Adam, who's going to say no to, we're in effect almost giving away a lot of our executive development tools that we use with senior level executives. And we're providing you people that have a verified track record of coaching and certifications. And we're providing you a platform for you to have peers and community to work that through. It's almost like taking the breakout shops when you go to a conference and you have a nice speaker on stage, and then you have your breakout session that happens at the table. That's where your relationships are formed. That's where the real learning happens. That's where you really walk away with a lot of ahas. And that's what we're creating. And so I would say the feedback has been, who would say no to this? So I have to confess, at first it was a little bit eerie because I thought people were just being nice and polite. And now what I'm excited about, even though we're working hard to finish up the platform technically in its second release, now people are saying, when can I see it? When can I have it? So to me, these are good problems to have.
Amazing problems to have. So Mark, what's next? Like, what's next for Prossimo Global Partners? What's next for RevV?
Well, for Prossimo Global Partners, we have a really loyal client base, and we're going to continue to grow that business, not only with our existing clients, but what I will say is we really don't do a lot of marketing or advertising, because what happens is as executives feel the success of their own development, they always will end up referring us to another client. So I would say organically, we're seeing ourselves grow around 20% a year on the executive advisory side.
Wow.
So that will keep going. And then what you're going to see more of is we're going to continue to add resources to the RevV team. And we're starting on our current social media platforms to already do a lot of messaging around what RevV is about and getting people excited to join the wait list. And we're really getting people signed up on the wait list right now, both consumers and businesses. And then as we get ready to do our launch, then we'll do a lot more marketing on the digital side, and we'll do some more PR work, and hopefully more podcasts with professionals like yourself, and really get the word out there of what we're trying to accomplish.
Man, that's awesome. This is really exciting, Mark. And I'm excited to bring this to my audience. I mean, what you're doing is you're kind of democratizing the executive coaching experience and bringing it to the masses, so that whether you're a consumer, whether you're at a nonprofit, whether you're at a local community organization, and you just want development. I mean, there's many different ways. Just as humans, we want development. And for you to be able to share those tools, those learnings from your experience, from your partner's experience, and coaching thousands of executives, I mean, huge deal there. So you mentioned something, Mark. You mentioned signing up for the wait list and just kind of next steps for RevV. I mean, so how does my audience go over and do that?
Really simply, www.revgo.com, and you can sign up for the wait list. You can poke around on the website. You're going to see a lot more about the platform and the experience you'll get on that. All of our social links are all on that homepage at revgo.com. And we really invite people to sign up, follow us, and give us your feedback, because the other piece of this is a community.
Yeah.
And what makes a community powerful is you telling us what you need for your own personal and professional development. And then we continue to add it and curate it to our existing library, or to getting you connected with the right coach, or getting you connected with the right group or team.
Man, that's big time. Love it. Big fan of what you're doing, Mark. And let's leave that website one more time. We'll have it in the show notes, of course, and all that good stuff. But I want you to leave that website one more time for people that are maybe driving in their car or at work and they're listening to this and they're like, whoa, what was that website?
You bet. Thank you. It's revgo.com.
Fantastic. Well, Mark, just want to say thank you for coming on the show today. It's been a pleasure. I'm excited to help you announce Rev and get the word out there. And to the audience, as always, thank you for tuning in. Hope you learned a lot. Hope you got a lot of value out of watching this. If you did, especially if you're a first-time listener or viewer, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We want you to come back. We want you to get more great content. We have many more mission-based entrepreneurs and businesses coming up for you next. And Mark, again, it has been a pleasure, and congrats on Rev.
Thank you, Adam. Really excited about it. Thanks for all your help.